Alright, hey there, how we doing, XRP community? This is Dog coming at you with another price action update. Today we're going to be jumping into Algorand. This is one that I've been anticipating for quite a while as I've started to get back into this digital asset. Price action updates in terms of the ISO 20022 compliant tokens. So jumping right into it, everybody, before we jump in, I'm going to throw up the disclaimer. I'll see you all on the other side. This is not financial advice. This video is for educational purposes only. Trading with money involves risk. I'm not responsible for any decisions you make based off this information. Alright, real quick, before we jump into Algorand, I just wanted to pop up this video. This kind of ties in with fundamental news as we kind of start to see a repeated process or a rhythm going on with some of these digital assets that are attacked from the Securities of Exchange Commission. So real quick over here on Twitter, I just wanted to pop up Gary's MIT speech on Algorand.
Sylvia McCally's Algorand. Sylvia's got a great technology that
Yeah, see, it's a great technology, right? Just play that again just for the meme.
performance. Sylvia McCally's Algorand. Sylvia McCally's Algorand. Sylvia McCally's Algorand. Sylvia McCally's Algorand. Sylvia's got a great technology that can...
Yeah, that's a meme if you don't know within the Algobro community. And after hearing that Algorand is indeed a great technology, Gary, thank you for your input there. We are going to go ahead and jump over to the Algorand chart and see what we got cooking. So real quick, I'm on a daily chart actually right now, and I'm gonna just kind of do a breakdown, sort of top down, get into most probably the hour chart and kind of see where we are from there. But as we can see, just from a daily perspective, well, what's the one thing that I touch on a very frequent basis within this channel is the market structure and how the price is currently reacting to the market structure that we have presented in front of us. First note that we have right here, the November 22nd, which we are approaching that 1 year of the FTX collapse here in a month or so, which was right here. We swept liquidity, and that is actually a common theme that we have going on right now within the Algorand chart. We are just consistently sweeping liquidity on the way down, and currently into an area of potential price discovery if Algorand decides to trade any lower, but that is just a higher time frame perspective. Then we have over here, boom, a couple months later, April 17th, we had the SEC threw out a bunch of lawsuits, one of those being Algorand, and another was Cardano. I can't remember the other few off the top of my head. But most importantly, Algorand right here was attacked by the SEC. And this is a theme I want to kind of, before we jump into the price action, I want to really talk about the fundamental play here, right? So over on XRP, right, what happened to price after we had the SEC lawsuit? This is something I touch on in the XRP price action updates. When we actually sold off into news that swept liquidity before we got an 1100% gain in the market, one thing I want to touch on is how price did sell off, swept liquidity, but then traded higher. But the thing to note here is we had a lower high in terms of market structure, right? So concluding on a technical standpoint, that is actually a bearish market, right? We still haven't broken out of that bearish market structure from actually 2018 when we had the, what was it, 330 all-time high? I don't even know, because obviously the exchanges vary based on price data, but most notably we had a lower high here, and I want to bring that over to Algorand as we look on a higher time frame perspective, right? If this is to be, you know, October kind of scenario where price is starting to trade higher for a lot of these digital assets, XRP being one of them, we could conclude that Algorand is going to follow that case, right? Not the litigation case, but the case of confluence with price moving upwards. One thing I really want to touch note on, let's just say in a figurative motion, that if Algorand was to trade higher from here, let's just say we are going to go up just in the overall crypto and digital asset space over time. Are we going to get that case where, like over here on XRP, where we had a lower high scenario due to the uncertainty that the SEC has created within this atmosphere? So that's really one thing I'm actually paying attention to, even if we are moving into a bullish market, is Algorand going to trade high, and I have this area marked significantly as a high probable area of reaction if price does happen to trade into it. Is it going to reject it, or are we going to trade higher? Uh, and that's a really big question I have because I don't see the actual conception of Algorand technically being the all-time high. I actually see this $3 or 2.95 mark being the all-time high. And the thing is price going to break that all-time high, or are we going to get an XRP case here where price actually trades lower due to the uncertainty in the market? And that again raises another question of mine is, and considering that Judge Torres just denied the interlocutory appeal from the SEC in terms of XRP being a security, I could very well see litigation moving forward in a much faster manner now, considering how we are starting to see some of the courts actually side with, in this case, Ripple, in terms of Judge Torres applying the Howey test to XRP. Are we going to see, a more rampant litigation period now? Is Algorand going to clear up this litigation process before the bull market, which could, lead to new all-time highs for Algorand, up and out essentially? Or are we going to be basically suffocated or suppressed by uncertainty? I say that with quotation because we all know why, right? It's asset suppression. That's another thing I want to get into before price action is, we have the ISDA, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association partnership. You see Algorand right there within the digital asset member showcase. We see Ripple right there within the digital asset showcase. And essentially, if you don't know what the ISDA is, they're essentially going to be sharing part of this $1.2 quadrillion market share in terms of the settlement of derivatives. So this is actually very big, and not too many people are talking about it. And T's Crypto Spot actually brought this to light, and I think he's continuing to speak about it. And I think a lot more people need to pay attention to something like this that is very, very big. That is a lot of money. That is, quote unquote, all the money essentially. So that is a very big fundamental thing. And that's another thing is, Algorand happens to be another one of these digital assets that are being attacked by the SEC. All the while, all these big fundamental plays are going on the back end that not too many people are paying attention to. And over on price action, if we were to get that case where we do get an overall bullish market within the space, are we going to clear up that litigation in a more swift period, or is it going to be another 2-year draw where Algorand unfortunately might have to miss out on the bull market and might end up trading downwards if XRP is to skyrocket, being the only digital asset right now with legal clarity in the United States. So moving on real quick, after getting all that fundamental stuff out the way, that's just the daily chart. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and get a little bit more perspective as to what is going on within price action. So as I was mentioning earlier, we are getting liquidity sweeps. We can conclude that this is bearish market structure within algo. We had the FTX drop, which swept liquidity across the board. We had the retracement. We're continuing to trade lower, sweeping more liquidity as we go down. And that starts to lead into some of the smaller time frame price action that can kind of let us know where price wants to move. But jumping over to the hour, actually, I think that might be a little bit more important to cover here, is kind of where we're at right now. We're currently trading at 9 cents, which is pretty spicy. Back over on the daily chart, we can see we're pretty much at all-time lows and could very well continue to sweep liquidity. But on that daily time frame, like I was saying, we are starting to see what looks like a cumulative price action on the Algorand chart, which is a very good thing, even though we are getting lower lows and lower highs across the board. All it takes is that one break of structure to kind of confirm that we are in a bullish sentiment. But back over to the hour, we can see we have practically a quad top right here, which I see as a spot where price actually could potentially run through, right? And it really depends on how price reacts out of this 0.0990 area. just in terms of lower time frames, let's kind of take a look at that. So if price does want to continue to trade higher and maintain this smaller time frame bullish price action that we got going on, it's still bearish, as we can see with candle closures, but if price does want to trade up, we want to see how price is going to react within that 11 cent area. Are we going to trade back out of it, continue down, sweep some of this liquidity that's left behind? As we can see on even lower time frames, we have more liquidity sitting right below. I'm trying to keep this relatively clean, but I would just kind of mark these areas with that dollar sign to let me know, and all of you know, that there is liquidity that's open right there that could very well get ran through. And if price is to, come up to here and reject, then that is a very big target that I would be looking towards as price is currently printing. But if we do get to see a little bit of a breakout, could we see that run on liquidity here to trade back lower again? Or are we going to, retrace with a healthy manner and continue to trade higher up towards some of these lower time frame market structures that we have? If I go back over to the 4-hour, we could see that that could be very probable, as it would start to introduce bullish price action into the market, which is a very good thing. Obviously, we are all here to see the bulls in the future, but it just is a matter of getting there and what needs to happen first in order for the bullish price action to present itself, right? And when we're talking about market manipulation and everything, a lot of liquidity needs to be swept in order for the market to go ultimately higher, right? I like to point this out right here. The liquidity was swept within the market manipulation of the SEC lawsuit in order for price to trade higher. Same thing happened with Bitcoin on the FTX chart. I'm not going to pull that up right now, but if we look at that chart, you could see the FTX swept liquidity in order for price to actually trade higher months later. Obviously, that means that smart money or big money is buying in those lower areas where there's a lot of fear going on in the market, and that could be very well the same case here on Algorand. This is definitely a higher time frame play, in my opinion. Algorand, we got that fear in the market right now. There's a ton of fear, actually, right? So we need to really see if price wants to start rejecting some of these all-time lows, and just on a higher time frame scale, right? We want to see the breaks of structure. We want to see healthy retracements. We want to see the market start to print up in a healthy manner. And before that, but then again, we all have this whole litigation hanging over the heads of Algorand, so it's hard to tell right now, right? Which also leads me back to what I said in the beginning of the video. Are we even going to break all-time highs this bull cycle? Because it really depends. XRP was the first digital asset to really go through this phase where the SEC created uncertainty in the environment. That's one of my biggest questions. Are we going to get that lower high scenario with Algorand in terms of if a bull market is to present itself within the next coming months, any time between November and March, essentially? Are we going to see the impulse of price action to the upside across the crypto market? And is Algorand going to get left behind, basically, while other assets like XRP start to continue to run higher in that essence? So we really just want to pay attention. Are we accumulating right here? In my opinion, I think so. This very much so looks like accumulative price action. It just depends. Price could, dip lower, closer to, double zeros, triple zeros. Who knows? Most likely that's not going to happen, but there always is that probability that we could get to very extreme lows within the market, especially when there is the fear surrounding the asset. But we know there's huge fundamental catalysts that will indeed eventually drive price to newer highs in terms of Algorand. But that is pretty much all I have for y'all today. Real quick, just briefly jumping back over to the hour chart, or actually the 4-hour chart. We want to ultimately see, though, if price does start to run up, if the rest of the market starts to run up as well, this would be a significant area. That 40-cent area, are we going to reject open liquidity right here over at that 40-cent fractal level? Is price going to maintain that? Are we going to create another equal high scenario here? or is price going to reject that just ultimately? And I know these are just scenarios, but this is just kind of what's going through my mind as far as the lower time frame price action. It is very nitty and gritty, and I don't think the SEC is in town to play nice. So that is pretty much all I have for everybody today. I appreciate you all stopping by. Make sure you are following me on X at OhmDog, and I will catch you all in the next price action update. I know I said it was going to be IOTA this go around, but that'll have to be next video, as I promised a good friend of mine that we would cover Algorand in the next video, and here that is. I hope he shares it to all the Algo Bros. I appreciate you all stopping by. This is OhmDog coming at you with another price action update, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.